Hi, so I'm Julian. I'm a retired detective inspector, having retired from Sussex Police last year. The majority of my experience as a drug expert witness was gained over the last 20 odd years, mainly in Brighton, but also stretching out across the country and at some points internationally. A lot of my formative years was running undercover operations, putting undercover police officers onto the streets of Brighton and buying crack and heroin from county line drug gangs, understanding the inner workings of that, understanding the weights that were being dealt and the methodology. We would then arrest those people and take it all the way through the court process. I would see how drug dealers worked, but I'd also see how it went through on the court process and what was required and the detail that was needed and where you can see the pitfalls of an investigation, as well as where you can see the strengths of an investigation. So a lot of that was around mobile phone interpretation, running financials, as well as the human intelligence from the undercover officers. Brighton had the dubious title of being the drugs death capital of Europe for a number of years. And as such, my team started a new initiative, which was around bringing all of the heroin deaths in Brighton to my desk. And I investigated every heroin death, which meant I would go to the scene of the death and I would then see that through the court procedure into Coroners Court and try and find some closure to the victims of what is a disgusting drug. As such, it's meant that I've provided literally hundreds of pages of evidence to the Coroners Court as well as the Crown Court. That then evolved into complex conspiracies, and that meant we were tracking drugs through the country, really. It culminated in my last big investigation in the police was an operation called Wildwood, where we ended up with what the court accepted as £12.5 million worth of heroin being shipped into Sussex via Liverpool. The main subject of that operation receiving a 25-year sentence. We had to step outside of sentencing guidelines because of the gravity of the job. For my last 2 to 3 years, I was running the covert human intelligence source unit for Sussex, which meant I get a real insight into how drugs are dealt, shipped, ferried, consumed. On a number of occasions, I was recognised by the courts. I received a number of Crown Court commendations, including the Chief Constable's commendation. Operation Wildwood was my pinnacle, really, of my career, where I was commended again by the Crown Court judge who was presiding on that case. And effectively, my expertise has been recognised by the courts and the police service. I now work for the pensions regulator and as an intelligence manager, so I haven't moved far from the intelligence world since 2014, 2013, having been a drug expert witness. The passion is strong still within me, and it's drawn me back into wanting to help highlight what they're about, but also help jurors, judges understand in clear terms what evidence they're faced with. I've provided hundreds of statements to the court, whether it be through witnessing drug dealing or in my role as a drug expert witness. I was well regarded in Brighton. In 2012, I think it was, I was asked to sit on the Drugs Commission for Brighton and Hove, which was looking at innovative ways of how we could tackle street drugs. And part of that process was regarded as best practice and was adopted nationally. Drugs has been very close to my heart for many years. I'm really passionate about how we present drugs evidence, how we interpret it, and how we liaise with both defence and prosecution teams to come to the right conclusions. I can be instructed by claimants or defendants. The areas that I do take instructions for is anything to do with drugs, crack and heroin being a speciality, mobile phone interpretation, covert and overt investigative tactics, drug-related death, and also when I talk about drugs, I'm talking about anything from possession all the way through to complex conspiracies. I'm also trained to be a national drug expert witness. I was a member of JUVA whilst I was in the police, which is the Drug Expert Witness and Valuation Association. And that was effectively experts coming together, talking about their cases, talking about current trends within drug markets at the moment. I keep myself up to date by constantly reading whatever material is out there, keeping myself current. I still remain in contact with drug expert witnesses from the police who are still in there, and we still talk about current trends, methodology, because it does change as criminals adapt over time. And I'm also affiliated to the National Drugs Advisory Group.